As I sat at my parents' Thanksgiving table, immersed in the comforting surroundings of my childhood home, I experienced an unusual sense of tranquility. At 60, these gatherings offered a much-needed reprieve from the tension that pervaded my own household. My daughter, Emma, was happily engaged in conversation with her grandmother, their laughter filling the air with warmth, a stark contrast to the quiet, strained exchanges I often shared with Richard, my husband. Suddenly, my phone buzzed loudly, shattering the serene atmosphere. Richard's name flashed on the screen, stirring feelings of unease within me. After taking a deep breath, I excused myself from the table. Sorry, it's Richard. I'll take this in the kitchen. However, as I stood, I inadvertently switched on the speakerphone. Hey, Elaine, having a good time? Don't bother coming back. Richard's voice rang out, surprisingly upbeat, echoing through the room. I froze, my heart racing as his words lingered ominously. What do you mean? I asked, confusion mingling with dread. Elaine, I've decided it's time for a change. I've moved Emma's belongings into the house. There's no space for you anymore. An uneasy silence enveloped us. Emma dropped her fork, the sound of metal hitting the plate echoing sharply. Her eyes widened in shock. Richard, what are you saying? My voice shook as I replied, my heart pounding. It's straightforward. Emma doesn't want to come home because of you. Without you, she can have the life she deserves, just like when she was younger. So it's best if you leave. Emma suddenly stood, anger flooding her face. Dad, what's happening? Stay out of this. Emma, Richard snapped, his tone cold and authoritative. This is between me and your mother. Heat surged in my cheeks, a mix of shame and fury. You want me to just leave our home like that? Yeah, find yourself a place or whatever, not my problem. The call ended abruptly, leaving an oppressive silence in its wake. My mother reached out, her hand trembling. Elaine, dear. Before she could continue, Emma erupted in bitter laughter. He's completely lost it. Grandma, he's out of his mind. Inside, a storm of emotions raged, shame, anger, and an unexpected sense of liberation. He better be ready for this, I thought. This isn't the end, it's just the beginning. That night, as I lay in my childhood bed with the moonlight casting shadows on the walls, memories flooded my mind. Richard and I hadn't always been distant and cold. There was a time when his gaze was warm and his touch felt reassuring. I met Richard in my late 20s. He was charming, self-assured, and seemed to have all the answers. His charisma captivated me, and within a year, we were married, a whirlwind romance that felt like a fairy tale. But that fairy tale began to unravel soon after Emma's arrival. Richard adored our daughter, but as his affection for her grew, his feelings toward me seemed to wane. It felt as if his heart could only accommodate one person. Elaine, can't you see you're suffocating her? Give her some space, he would reprimand whenever I tried to be involved in Emma's life. His words stung, but I thought he was just being an overly protective father. As Emma matured, Richard's resentment towards me deepened. The man who once cherished me now hardly acknowledged my presence and less to criticize. Why can't you be more like Emma? She's only 10 and already so self-sufficient, he would scoff. I recall the night Emma, at 15, won an award at school. We were meant to celebrate as a family, but Richard turned it into a critique. Elaine, why can't you accomplish something like our daughter? You're wasting your life, he said, his words piercing like arrows. I lay there, staring at the ceiling, feeling the weight of his disdain pressing down on me. It wasn't just his remarks, it was the dismissive glances, the heavy sighs, and the way he turned away when I walked into a room. I had become invisible and insignificant in my own home. That night, enveloped in silence, something began to shift within me. Richard's callousness and his disregard for our shared life ignited a resolve in me. I refused to allow him to erase me from my own narrative. Turning onto my side, I closed my eyes, but sleep evaded me. The shadows seemed to beckon, urging me to rise and reclaim my identity. Deep down, I knew I was prepared to take that leap. The following morning, I awoke with a clarity I hadn't felt in years. During breakfast, Mom attempted to discuss Richard's call, but I swiftly redirected the topic. I wasn't ready to tackle that issue just yet. And Emma, sensing my reluctance, chose not to press. As we tidied up, my thoughts drifted back to the years spent with Richard. His controlling nature wasn't confined to our daughter. It seeped into every facet of our lives, tightening like a vice around my freedom. Elaine, don't work late. You need to be home to cook, he would insist, dismissing my beloved job at the library. His rules were erratic and designed to keep me off balance. If I wore an outfit he disapproved of, He'd snicker and say I was just trying to catch someone's eye. His focus was always on how I could improve as a wife and mother. Even my friendships were under his scrutiny. "You spend way too much time with Linda. She's a terrible influence," he once remarked, disregarding years of camaraderie. But it wasn't just about his controlling nature. It was also about the humiliation. At social gatherings, he'd belittle me with insincere praise, often in front of Emma. "Elaine puts in the effort, but we all know she's not the sharpest tool in the shed." He'd chuckle. Each comment served as a painful reminder of his disdain. Emma saw it all unfold. At first, she tried to defend me, but Richard's authority was too strong. "Mom, just ignore him," she'd whisper, her eyes brimming with frustration. I'll never forget the day Emma left for college. Richard beamed with pride, but there was an icy detachment in his gaze when he glanced at me. "See, Elaine, this is what happens when you raise a child properly. She's not like you." Thank goodness. Those words sliced deeper than anything, insinuating that I played no part in our daughter's upbringing, that my years of love and dedication counted for nothing. As these memories washed over me, a simmering fury began to bubble within. Enough was enough. I wouldn't let Richard dictate my life any longer. That phone call had been the final straw. It was time for him to face the repercussions of his behavior. I looked at Emma and saw her determination mirrored in my own. "Emma, I need to do something important when we get home. It's going to change everything, and I need you to trust me." Emma nodded earnestly. "I'm with you, Mom, totally." The drive back was quiet, each of us deep in thought, knowing we were heading toward a pivotal confrontation with Richard. Once we arrived, I excused myself to my room, claiming I needed to unpack, but really, I was dialing the number of a divorce lawyer I had discreetly saved months ago. My hands quivered as the call connected. "Hello, this is Elaine Richardson. I need to discuss filing for divorce." "Mr. Adams, the lawyer," responded with calm understanding. "I can guide you through this." "Mrs. Richardson, it sounds like you're in a difficult situation." As I recounted Richard's behavior over the years, Mr. Adams listened intently. "We can file for divorce on grounds of emotional abuse. It appears you have a strong case." Feeling a surge of empowerment, I replied resolutely, "I'm moving forward with this, and I want him to face the consequences, both legally and financially." Mr. Adams reassured me, "We will work to ensure you receive what you're entitled to." After the call, a blend of fear and exhilaration washed over me. For the first time in years, I was reclaiming control over my life. Later that evening, Richard came home, his demeanor oozing with smugness. "Back already? Realized you have nowhere else to go?" His words stung, but I stood my ground. "I visited my parents' house." "Richard, you remember the place you practically pushed me into?" He scoffed. "I did us a favor. Emma and I are better off without you." "You're mistaken," I asserted firmly. "Emma is not a pawn in your games, and I'm not your prisoner anymore." Richard's face contorted with rage. "What nonsense are you spouting? You think you can survive without me?" Holding his gaze, I remained unwavering. "Just watch me." Emma stepped into the room, her expression one of resolve. "Dad, you've crossed a line. Mom doesn't deserve this." Richard sneered. "Oh, so now you're on her side? I thought you understood. Emma, your mother is worthless." Emma's eyes blazed with indignation. "No, Dad, the only worthless thing here is your cruelty. We're done living under your thumb." As we stood united against Richard's hostility, I knew we had reached a critical juncture. The battle lines were drawn, and I was prepared to fight for my freedom. The morning after our confrontation, the atmosphere in the house was thick with tension. Richard's usual arrogance seemed amplified, as if daring us to oppose him. While preparing breakfast, my hands trembled slightly, but my resolve remained strong. At the table, Richard broke the silence with his customary condescension. "So, Elaine, have you finally figured out your role, ready to beg for forgiveness?" I maintained a steady voice. "There's no need for me to beg, Richard, it's you who should reflect on your actions." He laughed derisively. "You've always been out of touch, Elaine, but this is a new low." Emma, who had been silent until then, spoke up firmly. "Dad, this isn't a joke. Mom is serious about filing for divorce." Richard's expression morphed through confusion and disbelief before erupting into fury. "Divorce? You think you can just walk away from me after everything I've done for this family?" "It's precisely because of what you've done," I interjected, my voice resolute. "Years of belittling, controlling, and humiliating me. I won't stand for it any longer." Richard slammed his fist on the table, his face a mask of fury. "I built this family. Without me, you're nothing." Emma shot to her feet, her chair scraping loudly. You didn't build this family, Dad, you've ripped it apart, and Mom isn't just something you can dismiss. His eyes darted between us, a wild intensity brewing. You're ganging up on me, your own husband, your own father. This isn't about sides, Richard, I replied evenly. Turmoil churned within me. What you've done is unforgivable. Richard's bitter laughter echoed through the room. You think you can leave and everything will be fine? You have no idea what's coming. I met his glare steadily. I know exactly what I'm facing, freedom from you. Emma stood firm, beside me. We're done with your control, Dad, it's over. Richard abruptly rose, his chair crashing to the ground behind him. You'll regret this, both of you. You have no idea what I'm capable of. As he stormed out, the weight of his anger lingered, almost suffocating. Yet, amidst that pressure, I felt a powerful sense of liberation. The fight for my freedom had begun, and I was ready to reclaim my dignity and secure my daughter's future. In the days that followed our confrontation with Richard, life became a blur of activity. I met with Mr. Adams repeatedly, meticulously organizing the divorce process. We will ensure you receive what is rightfully yours, Elaine, both financially and legally, Mr. Adams reassured me. Richard's reaction to the divorce papers was explosive. One evening, he stormed into the house, papers in hand, his face contorted with rage. Are you really going through with this? Do you even comprehend what you're doing? Despite my inner turmoil, I stood firm. Yes, Richard, I understand. For the first time in years, I'm making a decision for myself. He laughed mockingly. You really believe you can survive without me? You're nothing without my money, my support. I'm not afraid of being alone, Richard. I'm far more terrified of spending another day under the same roof as you, I replied resolutely. Hearing the commotion, Emma came downstairs. What's happening? Your mother has lost her mind, Richard sneered. She thinks she can just take half of everything I've worked hard for. It's not just what you've earned, Dad. It's about what Mom has endured all these years. She deserves every penny and then some, Emma retorted. Richard's gaze hardened. Don't be naive, Emma, this will destroy us all. No, Dad, it will liberate us, especially Mom. As days turned into weeks, our home transformed into a silent battlefield. Richard moved to the guest room, his presence casting a heavy shadow over everything. Despite his efforts to sway me, my decision remained unshakable. The date of our first court hearing arrived. Sitting in the courtroom, awaiting the proceedings, I felt an unexpected calm wash over me. I knew deep down that I was making the right choice, not only for myself, but for Emma too. Richard, however, looked visibly anxious when his lawyer raised the topic of a settlement. A small smile crept onto my face. The man who had always prided himself on control was now at the mercy of the legal system. As the judge reviewed our case, Richard's face grew paler. When the judge turned to me and asked if I wanted to add anything, I took a steadying breath. Your Honor, 4 years, I have endured emotional abuse and manipulation from my husband. I seek not revenge, but justice for myself and my daughter. The judge nodded gravely. I understand, Mrs. Richardson. This court will ensure a fair and just resolution. Leaving the courtroom, I caught a glimpse of Richard's defeated expression. It was enough to know that while the battle wasn't over, I had won this initial round. I was ready for whatever lay ahead. In the following weeks, my life felt as though it was under constant scrutiny, dissected by lawyers and the court. However, with each passing day, I grew stronger, more in control of my destiny. Richard's attempts to intimidate me became increasingly desperate and less effective. The final court hearing was a day I both dreaded and anticipated. As Richard and I sat across from each other in the courtroom, I reflected on the man I once loved, now a stranger consumed by bitterness. The judge's voice was unwavering as he delivered the verdict. The court rules in favor of Mrs. Richardson. Mr. Richardson, you are required to pay alimony and half of your assets. Richard's face contorted in shock and rage. He abruptly stood up, his chair crashing to the floor. This is absurd. She doesn't deserve a single cent. Mr. Richardson, please control yourself, the judge admonished firmly. The court's decision is final. As we exited the courtroom, Richard's parting words dripped with venom. You'll regret this, Elaine. You think you've won, but you haven't seen the end of me. Yet I no longer feared him. His once cutting remarks now sounded hollow and powerless. In the following months, I secured a small apartment near Emma's place and started a new job at a local library, a place that always brought me comfort. The alimony from Richard gave me a financial independence I hadn't experienced in years. Emma and I grew closer, our bond no longer overshadowed by Richard's presence. She thrived in her career and personal life, a stark contrast to the fearful young woman she had once been. As for Richard, the last I heard, he was leading a diminished life, his pride and finances significantly reduced. His attempts to reconnect with Emma and me were met with silence. The man who once held so much power over us now existed only as a memory, a faint echo of the past. Often, I sit on my balcony with a cup of tea, gazing at the serene neighborhood. Here, I found a sense of peace and purpose that had eluded me for so long. Emma visits frequently, and we share conversations about everything and nothing. Our bond, forged in adversity, has become unbreakable. Looking ahead, I embrace the future with hope and a profound sense of freedom. Emerging from the shadows of my past, I've grown stronger and more resilient. I've come to realize that sometimes, the most challenging battles lead to the greatest victories. As for Richard, he remains nothing more than a distant echo, a reminder of a life I once lived and the strength I discovered in leaving it behind. Thank you for watching. I'll see you again in the next video. Stay inspired.